It's time for another edition of the ECAC Top Plays of the Week. As always, I'm your host, Clutchkey, here to bring you Week 3's top clips. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Mountain Lions of Concord and the Dolphins of Staten Island over in Rocket League in this game had a couple of crazy moments, from an overtime to a forced own goal, which for all good purposes, we're not going to show you. But the big clip here comes from the star of the show, also known as Helix.
Love to see that. Also love to see the defensive passing coming out. ET over to Helix, looking for a teammate in the midfield. Gonna beat one, but accidentally gets that last touch. And Pancake's not able to read that as Helix gets a monster dunk here. Can he turn around on it? He can. Helix, mechanics-wise, has been the star of the show in this series.
FBI Tugboat and Visionary 1 taking you through that series. In the game that the goal happened, Staten Island would make sure that no sweep was coming, but that didn't stop the series win for the Mountain Lions in the end. Final score 4-1 for Concord. Brooklyn Bulldogs and Mars Hill Mountain Lions in Valorant, and yes, we do have two Mountain Lions teams in action here, but Bulldogs and the Mountain Lions would fight hard and go the distance in this series. Brooklyn winning map number 1 on Ascent, Mars Hill winning map number 2 on Split, so it all comes down to Haven, and the top play in this case, well, let's just say it's more of a 2-for-1.
They don't know. They just passed each other. They assume it's clear, and now Shadowcaster takes the punishment, and oh, I almost thought that was down, and instead we see the lockdown, the spike coming through. That was a little bit of luck on one side, and now Axelite has to race in, gets the right click. I don't know if they'll be able to get it. They need a kill. They need to take this down. Otherwise, they're both detained, and it's a little bit of cleanup crew for Mental.
Jade Turbo and Sof Danum on the call, and for those that were caught up in the chaos, that's Excite on the Jet with the 2 insane kills, and then Mental Athlete coming up clutch with the lockdown. In the end, though, it's the Bulldogs that take the very close series 2-1. Fighting Muskies from Muskingum and Hawks from St. Joseph's throwing hands in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and I'll tell you what, this series going stock for stock, and that means there was a lot of potential for top clips, but our best clip happens in set 1, Degs on Mars, and it's always fun to see off-the-map fights, isn't it?
He definitely plays melee because he did down throw and tried to check chase into another throw. I think he's a melee mark.
I see it too. Oh, good forward air tipper there. Hope should be able to come from this unless you get countered. Degs with a huge opener there.
Yeah, counter mid-air and getting the stock goes kind of nuts. Acoustics and Soy with you there, but anyway, like I said, this series was close, and that clip led the Fighting Muskies to a set 1 win, but set 2 would then go to the Hawks, and in the final set, the difference only being 2 stocks, but the Hawks come back from the first set to win it all. Ohio Northern Polar Bears and St. Francis Red Flash head into Overwatch 2 action. First 2 maps had the way of the Polar Bears on both Nepal and Kings Row, and heading into map number 3 in Season 7, there's been a lot of Sojourn being played, and that's led us to a lot of clips being hit in the collegiate scene. Balder from the Polar Bears wants to add on to that.
Before the fight really ever begins, it just continued chaos.
We're seeing these things really doing the world's work on themselves, but Balder and this overclock 2 already looking to make that 3. Another pick here potentially, really wanted to get rid of V-Snipes, doesn't need the overclock, and now one final target to go. Karo assassinated Balders.
Sam Talks and Jag with you there, and don't be confused, folks. A player named Balder is playing Overwatch, but this player would not be gatekept from a top play. Yeah, see what I did there? No? Okay, well anyways, that clip on Rialto leads up to the series sweep for Ohio Northern. Illinois Wesleyan Titans and the Rensselaer Engineers head to Summoner's Rift, and just like most of the games this week, this series went crazy. Rensselaer taking game number 1, and in game number 2, I'll preface this by saying that it was much like Valorant in terms of this clip being called a 2-for-1, but it's one clip since usually fights for Baron happen that way.
Navigate into this pit, how well can he damage these members and hopefully just at least get them off the Baron. Call the Forge God.
Alright, they're going to try and run it through, but the Shockwave finally does some work. Ruthless and Nabs have to run away, and because of that animosity has to stand in the front line, down to about 50% HP, drawn back into the fight. RPI Red burning through that tank. We said they had no real access to that back line, but Shun says, I'll do it for you. Jumps into the front. That's going to be a charge. Nabs gets stunned up, flashing away, Exhaust able to keep him alive. This zap almost takes their life.
Orbital and Goferino watching and calling that craziness there. In the end, the Titans would go on to win game number 2, which would then take us to the decider game 3. And IWU in that game 3 would wrap up the comeback, getting the series 2-1. Also, check out the post-game interview if you get a chance. There's an explanation for the cosplay, I think. And that's it for episode 3 of the Fall 23 Top Plays of the Week. Don't forget to check out all of the social media, plus check out all of the streams happening almost every weekday. Hope everybody enjoyed watching this week's episode, and until next time, my name is Klutchki. Take care, everybody.